we're excited to have a gentleman that I actually just met, I guess 30 days ago, inside the last 30 days. But it's funny because when you think of quote unquote politicians, and nothing against Jud, you don't think of Jud. Jud is so just down to earth. He's got some big shoes to fill though, so you guys keep him in your prayers because, coming behind the legacy of, Mayor Katz is a big shoes to fill, like I said. But I'm confident that he's going to do great things for the city of Gaithersburg. And so we have the pleasure of hosting him here today, so just give him your undivided attention. He's, in addition to wearing the hat of mayor, he's the CEO of a company, Mobile Image, which is based in Gaithersburg. And so he's going to be sharing some information with you all about just preparing your company with this new wave. I mean, all of us use these things, right, to get all of our information. And so we want to make sure that as the business community, we're positioned to really be able to connect with motivated buyers when they're using these things to get information about resources. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the floor over to Jud Ashman.
Thank you. So for those of you who are interested in why Gaithersburg would be a great place to open a business and locate a business, that could be the next talk. I can definitely speak to that, and it is a great place. Why your non-mobile friendly website is costing you money is a really sexy title, and it's not one that when I sort of pitched this talk, that's not the title I came up with, but I'm not one to shy away from sexiness, so I'm gonna take this opportunity to sort of take this angle on this great big subject. What we're going to do first is talk about ways you can figure out whether or not you are potentially missing opportunity. Then we're going to talk about how to approach mobile optimization. And just so you know, it's a fairly broad overview. We're going to cover a lot, and any one of these subjects really could be a talk in and of itself. So first off, by show of hands, how many of you have a website or are here representing an organization that has a website? Okay, as I figured, pretty much everyone. Now, how many have a mobile-friendly website? Okay, a good number. So people are getting it. The first thing I would say as we start from the top when it comes to are we potentially missing opportunity is looking at a general statistic. 48% of users say that if they arrive on a business site that isn't working well on mobile, they take it as an indication of the organization not caring. I've seen over the last couple years in particular statistics about users who, given an industry with some competition, if they go to one person's site on their mobile device and it's not working, it's not loading quickly, or they have to really fight with it and pinch and zoom and what have you, that they would go to a competitor's site. By show of hands, would you, if you're on your mobile device and you're surfing and looking for something and you come across a non-mobile friendly site, would you go back and search again and find a competitor? By show of hands, would you do that? I know I've done that. I would say, in terms of potential costs of opportunity, if you're in a certain type of business, particularly one where the physical location of your business matters, then you can just skip to the chase. You're losing opportunity if you're not mobile optimized. This goes for restaurants. This goes for real estate brokers, retail. People are on the road. They're looking for a restaurant. We know how we use the web these days. People are on the road and they're going through real estate listings and they want to map it out on their handy iPhone maps or Android maps. They should be able to do that, and your site should. And if you're not doing it, your competition is. So for those types of organizations, just skip to the chase. Yes, you're missing opportunity if you're not mobile optimized. But if you're not, you might want to look deeper and say, well, who are your users, and what are they, how are they accessing your site? Not obviously what's the competition doing, and certainly examine the analytics. Your best clues are in analytics. By show of hands, who uses Google Analytics? Okay, a good number of you. Just to show you, let's go over here. This is Google Analytics has, this is the part of the mobile dashboard for Google Analytics. If you come in and you click on mobile overview, then you can get a sense, and I'll just talk really loud over here. This is, by the way, these are analytics for the Gaithersburg Book Festival site, and I'm going to use it as an example in a couple places in this talk because it's a real sort of broad swath of user types. But for we can get a sense. People are accessing, 76% are still accessing this site by desktop, even though this is a mobile optimized site. And we're seeing that we have about 24% that are accessing by either tablet or smartphone. But you could do this. This is a really healthy thing for you to do for your website because you always want to stay on top of how people are looking at your site so that you can tailor to them. Let me just get back over here. The other thing I should have mentioned, and I'll come back here. Other measures that while you're on this page that you definitely want to look at are, I'm going to talk loud again, bounce rate. Who knows what bounce rate is? Okay, a few of you. Bounce rate is what, it measures the number of times somebody comes to your page and leaves right after seeing that one page. That's bouncing. And you sort of want to have a low number for bounce rate, but it's important to see when it comes to mobile with Google Analytics, you can differentiate between your bounce rate among your desktop users and your tablet users and your smartphone users. If the number varies greatly, if you're having a seriously larger bounce rate with mobile, then maybe your site's not working effectively on mobile devices. The other thing is pages per session. So not just how many people came in for that one page and left, but how many pages are they actually reading the content on your site by device type. These are helpful numbers to know how effective your site is and whether or not you're missing opportunity. So, just pull this back up. Either way, my feeling is whether or not you go through these exercises and determine whether you might be missing opportunity. Currently, it's going to happen. And I'll show you a comparison year over year with the book festival just to give you a sense in our case. So this is, let me just go to the top here, is March 1st, 2014 this year to until yesterday. And we see that the number of mobile users, I'm just going to do a broad statement here, the number of mobile users is about 31%. During the same period of time last year, we had an internal error. Let me just see where we are. Here we go. So the same period of time last year, we were at about 24%. So as you see, roughly, we have the same market, readers interested in book festival, but the number of people accessing us on mobile devices is growing by a significant chunk, and it's going to continue. And we know this intuitively because if you think about just think about how people are accessing the internet today. We've seen this, certainly with my kids, watching TV, but tweeting at the same time, or on Facebook, and I'm guilty of it too. But here we are. I don't think this is terribly unusual. Here we are at the beach. This is how we're not tied to our desktop anymore. This is sort of an intuitive thing. We know mobile's coming, and the number of people that are searching and surfing by mobile devices, it's just, I'm not breaking any news today by saying that number is growing. So here's where we get into part two. What do you do about it? The good news, there's good news and bad news. The good news is that for those of you who don't have mobile optimized sites, that mobile devices try their best to display any site. And the problem comes that with an example like this, this is the Rockville Chamber of Commerce site. And I don't mean to pick on Rockville Chamber of Commerce. There's tons of non-mobile friendly sites. But this one, this is just an example of it. It's sort of like looking through the wrong end of the binoculars. It shrinks everything so it all fits onto the mobile screen, and you really have to pinch and zoom and fight it in order to see the content on this site. So that's the good news is they'll try to display everything. The bad news is it won't work particularly elegantly. So then what do you do? Is your strategy more, we all know about apps, and we understand that they're mobile friendly websites. Where should your strategy be? What should you focus on? And my general answer is for the most part, mobile friendly sites is what you want. A mobile app, a native app, there are different kinds of apps, and this is another big subject, but the apps that you actually download to your phone or to your tablet are called native apps. And you wouldn't necessarily have one of those without also having a mobile-friendly website. But they're sort of, you use them for different things. I guess there's a couple different considerations. Mobile apps, if you want to develop a native app, is kind of an expensive process to go through, potentially. Unless, of course, somebody else has developed an app and you can just skin it with your company's brand and your information and do it, launch it more cheaply. But the other downside is there's only so much room on this screen, and there's only so many times that we want to scroll back and forth to find different apps. How many different apps do we want to have on our phone? I know I utilize a lot of different businesses, and I wouldn't want to download every single business's app. It just doesn't make sense. There's limited real estate, and there's only so much time we have. So even though you'll hear statistics about use of mobile usage of the internet, and it's dominated by apps, it can be a little misleading because people spend so much time on the Facebook app or on the Twitter app or on the Google app searching things that it skews the numbers and makes it seem as if your website is not still the most important place to convey your image and your message and your selling proposition. So my answer is unless you're launching a new Facebook, a new sort of application type thing, then your focus should be on mobile website. And in the example of the Gaithersburg Book Festival, we're actually doing both. We have a mobile-friendly site, and it's an excellent site. There's tons of content on the site. But for people who are there on the day of the event, if the connection, last year we had 20,000 people come out for the Gaithersburg Book Festival, and if every one of them pulled out their phone and tried to access the website to look up the schedule, for example, there'd be a bandwidth problem at Gaithersburg City Hall. It would be difficult to load all of these files over 3G. So for detailed information, day of event type stuff, we're developing a native app that people can download and will work much more quickly and effectively. So it'll be sort of a two-pronged strategy. So there can definitely be situations like that. Website development strategies. I would break it up into three categories. There's sort of the do-it-yourself, there's the hybrid, and then there's the custom website. I find that for a businesses have each has a unique look and goal, and when a business grows to a certain point, I generally see that they're going toward the custom version because, well, let me get to this. There are services out there like Wix and Squarespace and Hibu where you can where you can develop a website for yourself, and these are actually mobile-friendly sites. And if the templates that they offer you, and if you can stick your graphic here and use the pre-built frameworks and templates that they have, if that works for you, that's great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. They can be effective websites, and it's a really inexpensive option. When you go a little bit further and you say, well, hey, I want to have video here, or I want to do my my company directory search in sort of a different way, then you're getting to more of a hybrid area where you want to. An example of this would be if people are familiar with WordPress sites, there are millions of pre-made WordPress templates, and if your image, if your website sort of fits into this thing, you can do an excellent website with these. You just stick your image there, your logo here, and it can work. And WordPress is customizable too. So you can, if all you want is to move something around or change the layout here, then you can sort of do this hybrid approach and save yourself from some money of the money you'd spend to develop an entirely custom theme. But but custom is what we do more often in my office, and what the need I see more often for small growing and mid-sized businesses. Websites. So the point here is that websites are at this moment both easier and more difficult to develop than they used to be. The easier being the do-it-yourself and the pre-mades, but the challenge for websites is the devices. It's the fact that you're not just designing sites now for desktop. It's that you have to design, or you should be designing sites that work here on the tablet and here on smartphone. And furthermore, there are new tablets, new screen sizes coming out every day. And I heard a statistic that there's something like 1,000 different Android devices with different screen sizes and different operating systems, and so there's all kinds of challenges. But what we do and what the web design development industry has been moving toward this thing called responsive design. And responsive design is where you take a website and you code it so that it determines the screen size of the viewer's device, and it reformats sort of on the fly to accommodate that screen size. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples of what I mean. This is my business's webpage, and as you see, if you can see the cursor here, this is the main navigation's going across the top here, and we have our slider images here, and so it works just fine on desktop. But here's what happens when watch what happens as I close the screen. If you watch the navigation menu as I slowly close the screen, you'll see it respond to the different screen size. And at a certain point, it becomes, now we have the hamburger icon, as they call it, which the menu is now formatted for a mobile device so that people can operate with their thumbs. And as you see, the font size is bigger, so with the thumb you don't accidentally press two menu items. You have control over it and such. Another example of it is Women's Policy, Inc., which this is about where it would be for an iPad, and as we close it, then we get to smaller tablets and phones And you see here, we have our menu and all the content that was on the site. The approach we took here was, as you see, we have the 3-column layout for the different latest news items. And as we close it, that 3-column layout becomes a single-column layout, and we can narrow it to the most narrow device out there. So that's the way responsive design, it's a sort of very, very quick overview of how responsive design works. But it almost doesn't matter what size the device is, what size the screen is. It's going to respond to that size. You sort of design around the content. And actually, responsive design, let me just make sure I'm not going to go over here. Responsive design used to be, it's evolved even in the past couple of years, because it used to be that you would design, you'd make certain breakpoints. There'd be a breakpoint for desktop, there'd be a breakpoint for iPad, and there'd be a breakpoint for iPhone. And you could sort of design around these 3 different paradigms, and you'd be fine. But since all the different tablets came out and all the different smartphones with the different screen sizes came out, really now what you're doing when you design these sites is you're designing around the content, and when the content breaks, you have to reformat, you have to program it to reformat, if that makes sense. So, get back to our slide here. Challenges, as I've mentioned, screen size is a challenge, and also the user interface, whether it's a what is a mobile device? Sometimes now they have these they have the touch screens for the Windows laptops, and you can even take them off or whatever. Is that a mobile device or is that a PC? That's part of the challenge of this industry. Another thing you might not think of if you're not doing this all the time is, for example, this is another site we did for Rockville Economic Development. You see how I'm not clicking anything to make that hover state come over and to have the sub-menus show. But you don't have a chance to hover on a touch device. It doesn't know your finger's hovering over it. So you have to design to the different interfaces too, which is a challenge. Another element is browsers and support when it comes to responsive design. Because we have iOS devices use Safari browser, Android devices, I don't even know which browser they're using by default, but certainly you can download Chrome and use them. The Windows devices use versions of Internet Explorer. The different browsers handle different things in different ways. So now part of web design and development, a big part is about testing. And getting your hands on as many devices as you can, and testing across devices, and it's a big challenge. And even for desktop, so the city of Gaithersburg, for example, still uses Internet Explorer version 9, and Internet Explorer 9 will display. There's a lot of things that websites are using these days that IE9 doesn't support, and even worse for IE8. So pledge today, if you're, update your browser. If you're an organization that's still using an old Windows, an old Internet Explorer, please put pressure on them to update it, because it would help all of us. And performance. So different devices are receiving the information in different ways. You may have a great connection for your desktop, but you may be relying on 3G or 4G for your tablet or for your smartphone. And every second that it takes, every extra second that it takes for your site and your content to download is extra time that people have a chance, that people are making a decision whether they want to stick with it and invest the time or not. So when you're doing sites that are mobile friendly, some of the images, some of the content that you have on your desktop site, you have to make decisions about it. Is it worth the investment on the user's part to download this image? And this is a topic I can spend 2 hours talking about. But performance is a big consideration for mobile sites. So, though I'm just going to close here because I was given a half hour for this. I believe that there's tons of opportunity. One thing I didn't mention about the mobile revolution is that it expands our markets. It's expanding our user base. People who may not have had access to desktop computers. Pretty much everybody has smartphones these days. Not just here, all over the world. And also your existing user base. There were times where they didn't have access to your website because they were at the beach or because they were in bed or in the bathroom or wherever. Now they can be shopping, they can be learning about your organization anytime, anywhere. They could be on the road anywhere. While mobile creates all kinds of challenges for us to adapt to the new media, the fact is there's tons more opportunity too. So my closing statement is our organization's face to the world is its website. As a physical person, we could be in one place at one time, but the website could be everywhere all the time. Our users are, as we know, they're accessing it through these new channels, and it's really incumbent upon us to tailor our content and deliver it effectively over these new channels. So, and the new channels represent opportunities. So that's where I'm stopping. I don't know if we have time for questions. Kelly, we're good for questions? Okay. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
What can a company expect to spend on an investment of a website that's going to do all of these things?
It depends. There's a ton of factors. It could be, if it depends the approach you take too. If you take sort of the hybrid where you're using a pre-made template, you're alleviating some of the development process and doing that, and some of the design process as well. So I hate to be this bland or this vague about it, but and what functionality are you having? Is there going to be search? Is there going to be video incorporated in it? There's a ton of functionality considerations too in determining the price. I would say expect, if it's a custom site and it's a very simple sort of brochure-y type site, then I would say you probably might expect $3,000 or so as a starting point. Yes?
Is it scalable so that you could start at maybe, 3,000 range and then increase?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Slightly a technical question, you can answer however you want.
Yeah.
But how do you determine, what are some of the ways you determine what device is accessing that website? Like how do you know that it's an iPad versus a phone?
Good question. I can show you exactly because Google Analytics helps us do that. So again, going back to the book festival example, if I want to go, I'm in overview view now, but if I go to devices, this gets excellent. Watch. I can see exactly what devices are accessing.
Right, so that reports after the fact. But
Yes.
I'm saying, so when the connection comes into the website, you need to display it real time. How does your website know what that?
Because as part of the code, you're telling the site to determine the size of the screen users, the user's screen size.
So it's something in that user's browser. Or something
Yeah.
that says what it is.
Yeah, and to get more technical about it, you can't actually determine what device it is. All you can determine is the size of the screen. Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
With this responsive technology, is that different than having an actual mobile site? Because I get very frustrated that very often my unit will determine to get the mobile version, and then it's not as enhanced or as featured as the regular website. So I can't get the information sometimes I necessarily need from the mobile.
Right. Yes. The answer is there are different ways to go about mobile. Responsive is, the last few years has been the sort of the industry is going toward that way. But it used to be that what you would do is you'd have a desktop site, and then you'd have what I call the M-dot site. You'd have the site that's sort of formatted for a small screen. The difficulty with maintaining two sites is that you have to load the content on both of these different sites. So it from an administrative standpoint, it takes more time. The other part about it is when you're developing the M-dot site, the separate mobile site, you've made a decision about what the screen size is, and you're not really responding to what the user's actually using. So I don't think it doesn't make sense to do it that way anymore. There's just a better way to do it, in my opinion. Any other questions? I see Kelly
Last
sneaking
one.
up here.
Anyone? Bueller?
All right, well, thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun.